Awesome. The webinar is live. I already see some participants like trickling in. Thank you everyone who's here so far.
I'll wave too. I didn't wave at everybody.
I'll wave too. How's everyone feeling?
Good, good. I'm happy to be here. I'm pretty excited to share a little bit about how I grow my business and what kind of insurance I use and recommend anything to all these entrepreneurs that want to grow their own business.
Oh
By
yeah.
the way, Nelson, owner of Pampered Tails, happy to be here.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us today, Nelson.
Thank you, Zach.
We're gonna give it a couple more minutes in case anyone is coming in late. So we'll probably start around 5:05. So everyone who's still here, get comfortable. If you guys want, you guys can type in the chat too where you're tuning in and listening to this webinar from.
Now, all of us here, are we all in California? All of us on this panel right now?
We are.
I am in California.
Yeah, I think we're only like a couple like hours away from each other, like mostly OC LA area.
Nelson, I don't know if you're at one of the facilities today, but we really could have planned this where I could have just driven and I could be sitting next to you.
Oh, no. I am not even close. I live in Camarillo.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Hour
wow.
and a half
I can't commute at
from
this time
LA.
of day.
Yeah.
Take you 3 hours to get there, Billy?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. At this time, 5 p.m., yeah, definitely at least 2 hours and a half. Yeah.
I saw some people in the chat. We've got Newport Beach, which that's kind of where we're at right now. And then I saw some Australia. It's pretty exciting. That'd be a long drive.
Yeah, Newport Beach.
Shout out to Nicole. It's 2 a.m. in Berlin right now. Hardcore.
That's crazy. Your commitment. We appreciate you for coming, Nicole.
I saw it's Antonio from Newport Beach. So we could probably throw a rock and hit each other. We're in Costa Mesa.
Cool.
I love asking this question. Like, it's so cool that everyone's international. Like, we have Germany, Australia, and then also different states too, Minnesota, Idaho.
Minnesota.
Antonio, they could give you great barbecue recommendations in Costa Mesa if you're looking for a spot to check out.
I'd be surprised if he hasn't had a Harper barbecue yet. Oh, Amanda's on. Hey, Amanda.
Live for Idaho.
Hi, Zach.
Zach, you're famous. Okay, we'll give this one more minute before we start.
I got my MoeGo reminders right now. MoeGo.
Oh, I heard in the background.
Yeah. It doesn't stop. It's a good feeling every time you hear MoeGo. I mean, it's an appointment or a payment or something like that.
You see dollar signs, right?
China, yeah. Yeah.
For everybody wondering, we did not tell him to keep his ringer on while we're on this call.
Oh. Actually, let me put it in silent because it will continue saying mobile.
Oh, the chat is so funny. Amanda thought it was her MoeGo.
Well, I love to hear, Amanda, that you're getting bookings already, and it's through MoeGo. That's wonderful.
Okay, it is 5:05, so hopefully everyone is settled down. I'll get started on sharing the slide deck, and then we can get started on today's webinar.
I'm good.
Okay, can everyone see everything?
Yes.
Awesome. So, hi everyone. I'm so glad you can join us. I'm Ivy from the MoeGo team, and I'll be the moderator for today's webinar, How to Future-Proof Your Pet Care Business. So, as your pet care business grows, so does the risk that comes with more vans, clients, and employees. So, if you're thinking, how can I scale confidently? We'll break that down in today's webinar. Also, before we jump in, it is going to be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube so you can watch it whenever. And if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please add it in the chat. Billy and I will be taking track of everyone's questions and saving it for the Q&A section at the end. So let's get to know who's on our panel. I'm here with Billy, who is our amazing partnership manager at MoeGo. Billy, what do you have in store for us today?
Well, it's good to be back in our next webinar amongst some very close friends and pals here. Today, our focus is going to be about growing your business. And what we really want to put a focus on is making sure that we can bring the right people in to help you talk about maybe some of the best underlying business practices that you can have to make sure that not only are you growing effectively on your business, but you're also taking care of risk mitigation. So we got Zach and Chaz with us. And my personal hero, Nelson Quintero, we're going to hear a lot more about my experience with Pampered Tails as we go. Happy to be here.
I'll go
Thanks.
next, Ivy. Chaz here, Director of Business Growth and Strategy. What I'm excited most about is sharing claims horror stories. I just, yeah, I don't know, something exciting about it. We just had Halloween, so I don't know.
Mhm.
Not things that we like to hear about, but stuff that does happen as you're running your business and growing and scaling. The longer you're in business, the likely something is going to happen. My name's Zach Davis, and I'm the owner of Pet Business Insurance. And we're here to bring you some insurance information on the type of coverage that you should have in place to protect your business and help you strategize growth with protecting and mitigating risk as your business grows.
Well, and I'm here. I'm Nelson. I am the owner of Pampered Tails. I have been running Pampered Tails for 20 years. I started with mobile, and then I was lucky to start also salons. And I'll be happy to help you and answer questions and guide you in the process of how to grow your own business.
That's awesome. Thank you, Nelson. Let's start kicking it off with the mobile grooming growth and Billy, can you kick it off?
Happy to. And, first and foremost, if anybody who's here did a sales demonstration that I ran, you're probably pretty familiar with when I showed you Pamper Tails booking page, because I think Nelson runs a fantastic business. And one of the special things that, I always kind of like into Pampered Tales, because we see it online when we view his website, is it's this concept of growth. And that's a whole lot of what we're always talking about. And many of you who are MoeGo customers are obviously here to hopefully learn some things that help spark growth in your business. We distill it down to just a couple of things. We think about being easy to do business with, and just sometimes the convenience of just being able to transact with you for your customers, positioning your tickets in a way, such a way that not only can you charge a premium price, but you can also add on services as you go, and routing effectively. And what we believe is everything that we do is all about helping you scale. And in the interest of all that, Nelson, I would love to hear from you. What's your philosophy on growth?
Well, everything starts from exactly how you put it on this picture. Convenience is the first. I think that's why I start with mobile, because it was super easy going to the client's house. Now that I have both, I have mobile and salon, I can see the salon is a little more difficult to make for the clients to make that extra time to go drop the dog, go back home, and then come back and pick them up. So definitely mobile is a big, big convenience for clients. About tickets, MoeGo make life super easy. I love how you can customize the way that you want to charge. If you want to charge a whole combo, or if you want to use charge for a service and then to have some add-ons, and even the lately ones, there is the add your own fee. That's incredible. That makes it super, super convenient. And also the way the clients can pay online. or you can send in the link for them to pay the credit card, for them to also feel safe and the convenience to do it at the time that they want to. Sometimes they're calling when they're driving, and we don't want them to pull the credit card out of the wallet to start saying the numbers over the phone. And we just tell them, no, don't worry, we will send you a link, and when you have some time later on, when you finish driving, you can just add it there. So all that add up in the convenience. And definitely, to grow your business, you want to always have good routes. You don't want to be spending time in traffic. You don't want to be going back and forth to different cities on the same day. And definitely MoeGo help you a lot in these little things that at the end of the day are huge.
When you route, just out of curiosity, sorry, Ivy, can we go back? I got one question for Nelson. So I checked Google Maps. You and I are 1.2 miles away from each other, and it would take me 17 minutes to get there right now.
Correct.
So how do you set up your routes for your different vans? Do you set them up in different territories on different days? Do you have one big territory that they all lap in? What's worked for you?
I create my own territory, tend to MoeGo. You don't have to go by zip code. You don't have to go by the name of the city. You can literally create your own little territory and call it the name that you want to. I do that. I have a specific territory for a specific day for a specific groomer. And I can do all that with MoeGo. Because I can say Pepe is in Santa Monica today, and he's gonna spend the whole day there grooming doggies. And I can have Luis in Beverly Hills on the same, on the same day, but different territory. And that definitely increased the amount of doggies or houses that you can visit in one day. Of course, the zip code help a little bit, but what I love the most is that you can literally um, decide your territory. For example, I don't cross the 405. I'm even on the west or on the right side of the 405. To say my zip code, my territory is exactly going through the 405, and I can, point little by little, even the streets I want to visit or not. And that has been super helpful. My limit is 1 mile. Let's say you will have to wait a couple more days to get booked. You are 1.5. Yeah, you might have to wait.
Well, I
Well,
hope our friend in Berlin has never had to deal with trying to cross the 405 during rush hour.
Yeah. Now, for those that don't know, 405 is a horrible freeway. You can spend literally half an hour in 5 miles with no problem. And it's just two or three exits. I mean, imagine how horrible it is to book the wrong appointment at the wrong time.
I was
Apparently,
going
the
to say,
traffic in Berlin is worse.
yeah, I saw that. I was going to say, Nelson, that the interesting kind of part about routing and kind of what you said, Zach, and I really appreciate the fact that you're not having your customers driving, giving credit card informations over the phone. Like we really appreciate that. Texting's bad enough, but I can't imagine staring at your credit card with your security code and punching that in on the freeway. So we appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're
Send
welcome.
that payment link. Send that payment link.
No, again, it's staying to MoeGo. Before you don't know when are you going to talk to this client again. It was like, oh, I will call you back. That's not gonna happen until probably 2 or 3 days later. And then you're figuring it out, what is the credit card? And then you need to tell the groomer, you need to ask for the credit card to say, just the link, sending a text is just super convenient.
It is, and they make it convenient for actually picking up the business too, because you're always available. There's so much competition, especially in LA. I'm sure there's lots of competition. So having technology at your fingertips really enables you to pick up those sales all hours of the day.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the next slide. We kind of went over this a little bit, but the stack of how using like technology, maybe Zach and Chaz can kind of go over the insurance side a bit more.
Sure. So whenever you're starting a business, right, really you want to mitigate your risk. And so for a lot of the mobile groomers, you're required either by law in the state of California, a lot of times it's by law, to carry a certain amount of insurance. And so what we do is we understand your specific type of business and your operations, and we tailor insurance packages specifically to your business. So, your regular insurance agent off the street might not know that, hey, I've got a Mercedes Sprinter van and I need insurance for it. Well, you guys aren't just driving Mercedes Sprinters. You're driving almost like Lamborghinis, right? Once you upfit the vans with all the equipment and everything and the conversion, you're sitting there, you're driving $125,000 vehicles. Like, you're driving better than a Corvette down the street. So you want to make sure that your vehicle, for example, is properly covered. And then you ride around with tools and equipment. I know I've been to plenty of trade shows where I see a $500 pair of scissors. So you want to make sure if you're driving around your van, you've got scissors, you have shears, you have tools that somebody can break in and steal, or say something bad happens and the van breaks down, you want those tools and equipment to be covered too. So having the right insurance package really kind of helps. We talk a little bit about Animal Bailey's coverage, and Nelson's probably, aware in LA, sometimes you get those star dogs and you get those Beverly Hills dogs. You have one of those Beverly Hills dogs jump off the grooming table in your mobile, van. Those vet bills get expensive really, really quick. So Animal Bailey coverage is the coverage that protects the animals in your care, custody, or control. So that's an essential coverage.
And what we offer is a tailored insurance policy to your business. So as your business grows and scales and things change, whether you're going from a salon to a mobile, we understand how the business should be insured. We've actually been working with Nelson since 2018, and we adapt to his business as things grow. So other people might be starting at a salon. Well, a salon's insurance exposure is different than mobile grooming and vice versa. So there's different insurance policies that you should have as you grow. You might be a one-person show. You might have some employees. Depending on what state you're in, the laws are a little bit different. Here in California, for example, if you have one employee, you've got to have workers' compensation coverage. It's important for anybody working with the pets to actually have the work comp coverage, but we like to simplify this aspect for the business owners. As a quick overview, whether you're running a salon or mobile or both, you should have a business owner's package that's going to cover the liability of the business, professional liability coverage to cover the pets if they get injured during the groom, Animal Bailey's coverage, or an animal floater if the pet gets injured outside of the groom. So you come to my house, you grab my two dogs if you're mobile, and you're walking back to the rig, and one of my dogs escapes the leash and runs across the street and escapes or gets hit by a car. The Animal Bailey's or animal floater coverage is going to protect you as the business owner. Outside of that, the business owner's policy should have business income protection. If there's a fire at your salon and you're unable to operate for several months, the business income protection is going to keep revenue coming in so you could still pay your bills, potentially go rent another facility to get that going so that your business stays afloat. And the mobile version of that is mobile business income or off-premises business income protection. Covers you in the event there's a fire in one of your vans, and again, you're unable to operate the business for a duration of time. Well, that if you don't have this coverage, it could put you out of business because your bills don't stop. And then you should again have if you're mobile, you should have a commercial auto policy to cover the vehicle plus the conversion done to the vehicle. Some salons do pickup and drop offs. They may not have a converted vehicle with a grooming station or a grooming salon in there. In that case, they should have a commercial auto policy. And then again, the workers' compensation coverage to protect you if you're working with the pets, and most importantly, protect your employees if they were to get injured on the job.
Well, as a owner of a mobile grooming salon, it's really important to really have as much insurance that you can. You always, it's something new that's gonna always happen that you don't have an idea when on how it's gonna happen. And knowing that you have your insurance and that you are covered, it really gives you a peace of mind, and it gives you the chance to just go back to bed and knowing that the money is coming, that you don't need to create something new out of the blue, and give you that relaxation on running your own business. It's definitely everything that Zach says and Chen is something that you really, really need to consider and have when you start your own business.
Zach,
You
I have
never
a
know.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead, Billy. No, go for it.
I have one question because I'm learning a lot about the traffic in Washington State and in Berlin. For the policyholders that are on the webinar right now that are driving their Sprinter vans like Lamborghinis, good idea or bad idea to admit that in the chat to you guys right now?
Bad idea.
All right, all right.
Oh yeah, but Zach and Chaz, did you have something you wanted to say before Billy went first?
I think, Billy, if you want to take and kind of talk a little bit about I know a lot of them are familiar with the software, but there's a few things in here that we really like from the insurance standpoint on risk mitigation. So if you want to talk a little bit about the software itself.
Sure. Well, from a risk mitigation standpoint, which we were going to get to on slide 7, and talk a little bit more about it. Some of the things I know somebody in the chat had said you're investigating MoeGo for the first time. So for a mobile grooming business, MoeGo is the operating software that you would use. So everything from being able to generate your leads online where people are willingly searching for you to communicating with your customers, setting up routes that make it easy for you to minimize driving. I think Nelson said he keeps his to 1 mile at tops. For you in Germany, that's about 2 kilometers. And even leveraging your KPIs just to make sure that you're spotting patterns that help you repeat that growth engine. Those are a lot of the things that MoeGo's doing. And Chaz, I'll happily open the door to you if you want to point to anything specifically from a risk mitigation standpoint.
Well, I just see stuff like on this slide, right? Your route optimization. I think even two-way messaging, right? Being able to communicate with that customer maybe when you're on their way, right? Might reduce the amount of time that it takes for that customer to bring their dog out. And payments, there's big talk about exposure to taking payments and what type of personal information that you can take. So if your software handles that, that's a risk that we see in the insurance industry that goes, through the roof. Or, are you protecting your customer data? With MoeGo, you guys have those security standards in place to put those kind of into practice. So those are just the things that I was thinking of when I saw that.
And on the personal data standpoint, one thing for anybody that uses MoeGo that's on this call or anybody that's interested in learning more, MoeGo is also the only operator in the space that's SOC 2 Type 1 certified. And we're working on our SOC 2 Type 2 audit. That's how we protect personal data. It's effectively the highest level of security that you can have in the space. So all the personal information from your customers, financials, we don't actually warehouse that. Our merchant processing partners do, but uh, for everybody that's involved and is wanting to make sure that all this personal information is taken care of, we do have the highest level of security that you can possibly have for that information.
No
Nice.
more employees using a yellow sticky note to write down credit cards and
Oh, I
process
hope
those.
not.
I remember the copy, the one that you have to be with the pen pressed in the paper, and then you don't do it right, and you miss one number, and you are like, "Oh my God, that was horrible." I mean, again, I have been in business for 20 years. Not even GPS in 2005. You have that big book with the pages and trying to
Thomas
keep
guide.
free. Yeah, I mean, MoeGo is a dream.
Okay, let's move on to the next slide. We're going to be talking about scaling without the chaos. Nelson, like you kind of talked about your mobile growth engine that worked for your business, but what about like adding new vans and territories? Can you tell us like a little bit more about like how many vans do you currently have and territories that you have as well?
We are practically running two big cities. One is West LA, which is huge. We have 11 vans on West LA, and as it's like probably I don't know 10 cities in West LA. They're tiny, but it's a lot of people on those. And a second territory, which is Camarillo, Ventura County, and we have two vans there. Um, so yeah, I mean, territory wise, I'm going to continue expanding. Camarillo is a brand new project. I didn't know if I wanted to leave West LA or continue growing in West LA, but after having 11 bands, I felt that I want to repeat the same somewhere else instead it just became that big one in LA. And as you know, the traffic doesn't get better. Thinking about more van is like, it's just handled with more traffic and more people. I took the decision to try in a different city, and I started in Camarillo 2 years ago. And now we have our second van, and I think by the end of this year, in the next couple of months, we have our third van in Camarillo.
It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Driving a Sprinter on the Grapevine in January. That should come with like fighter pilot wings for your Camarillo crew.
Oh, well, I love to drive the vans when I buy the vans. You know, normally the companies are not here in California. And when I buy the vans, I like to fly there and take my cruise all over the country to make it here to LA.
I was going to ask a couple questions. Nelson, what's like the first thing that you do when you look to add a van? So van one in Camarillo, do you just build out that capacity until it's like I can't handle anymore, and then that's what makes your decision, or how do you decide how to add that second van?
The second band comes when exactly like that. Um, when you have your Monday to Friday full. You know, at the second you have your Monday to Friday kind of full with I will say 4 to 5 houses. You start looking to hire somebody because you need your days off too. And what I like to do normally is I take one day. So instead of working five, I work four. And I have that extra day to try those hirings and to see how they do, if they know how to drive well, if they communicate well with the clients. And if that go well, I take another day and add one extra. So we start working Monday to Saturday. Now we both work 3 days a week, and you will figure out if that's the correct groomer because by then they have the pressure of 3 days in a row. You will know if they are the kind of groomers that get too tired quickly, and those 3 days give you a lot of information if that groomer is ready for a band themselves. And if those 3 days go really well, now you know that you have a good groomer. They will be able to handle a van and it will be able to handle probably 5 days a week. And at the second you know that, you order your van, you wait for that van to arrive, and you start pushing those new clients because you need them by tomorrow. Um, and that's it. Then you have two vans, and you start doing math. Okay, I have two. I want to work four. He's working four. I have 4 more days empty. Let's figure out our next groomer. By the time you have two vans, you should have at least 3 or 4 groomers with you.
Now, so that's pretty cool to kind of hear you say that. Like you've got to find the right groomer. Obviously, that does and you kind of give them a chance and see, and you don't just go out and buy the van and then find the groomer later. Is there? Do you see anything like when you add those additional vans? Do you see cost savings, or do you see like the business scale a little bit more, or more operating time, or?
It's really like a wave. You know, at the second you buy the van, you are going to drain a little bit everything. You're going to drain your cash flow. Well, not your cash flow. You're going to drain the amount of clients that you groom in one day. So let's say, for example, you're grooming 5 houses a day, Monday to Saturday, and then you get your second van. Okay, things are going to get a little bit easier. Now you're only doing 4 houses a day because you are adding an extra days on that second van, and you need to add some clients that you already have in that van. But in just giving a little bit of time, I will say 3 4 months, and then you are back to number one. All the vans are five or 6 houses a day, and you need to be considering again getting another one. And it's just like at the beach. The wave go back, and then the wave come back, and that's how you grow.
Now, what's your strategy for bringing in new clientele?
Good reputation, to be honest.
Okay.
Always treat your clients with respect, always trying to make them happy. It's hard to believe it, but yes, you have to be on the client is always right. If you had that set of mind, even if the client is wrong, you need to say he is right and let him go happy. The good reputation is what's gonna always bring you clients. Of course, you can use the ads, you can use promotion, you can use commercial, all that. But if you don't have a good reputation, all that's gonna fall down. It's not gonna help you. You're going to spend money in ads and all that, and groomer clients are smart. They only just don't go for the ad. They go for the reviews. They go for the pictures, and they take some time, even several days, to take a decision who is gonna groom their dog. And so I will always say, focus on your reputation, focus on your name, on what kind of groomers you hire. Take your time in giving more and more job to this new groomer, because you need to make sure they can handle it. And if the person only can handle today, that's fine. You can hire a groomer that only can handle today, and you just give him 2 days out of the week, and you find another groomer that can actually handle more. You don't have to find the perfect groomer. You can always adapt a little bit to the groomer, but the most important is that that groomer has to be a great groomer.
Now, one thing that I like to tell my clients as they're growing and they're looking to hire new groomers and new drivers of these vehicles is to call us and take a look at the driver's driving record before you bring them on and hire them. Because the last thing that you want to do is bring on a new employee that has a terrible driving record who's going to get into the 12,000-pound vehicle, $130,000 vehicle, drive down the road, and they might drive like a maniac. And also at the same point, your company branding's all over that vehicle. So you're talking about reputation. You have somebody that's a terrible driver or driving erratically all over the place to get to appointment. Well, that's a bad name and putting out potentially some bad press for your business.
Yeah, you're right, Zach. You need to, when you do those, uh, when you take your time to figure out if they are a good driver and you do the records, they are going to drive your van like it's their own vehicle. And say if they have speeding tickets, and if they have, I don't know if you can even track how many car accidents that they have had in the past. That exactly driver is gonna do the same to you. They are not going to drive differently because they are in your van. They might do it for the first week, for the first month, but after they get familiar with the road, after they get familiar with the job and with the routes, they start speeding. They start pushing that gas. They start going crazy. And I will say, yes, follow the records and don't think that they're going to change. The way that they drive their car is the way that they're going to drive your vehicle. And it's really important to do this checklist and make sure that they're good drivers. Having a van in a body shop, it is the worst thing you can have, because all these vans are converted. All these vans have parts that are made for that van, and sometimes they are not in stock. Sometimes they need to actually build that part, and you can be with a van for easy a month or two with no problem, which is
Nelson,
the reason why you should have your income insurance. That way you can pay that van because that loan is not stopping. You need to pay your loan no matter what's going on with the van. And forget about trying to get money for the dealer or for the body shop. That's not their job. That's not their responsibility. To say having the right insurance again is what's gonna give you the peace of mind that when something happens, you are covered and you can go to sleep.
Nelson, Marco's asked back-to-back really good questions in the chat. I'm going to save one of them for a little bit from now. But while we're talking about customer service, how do you keep great customer service with 11 groomers working on their own? Sometimes clients don't speak up. So how do you make sure that all groomers are always giving great customer service, not rushing, taking their time, listening to people?
Well, I give another applause to MoeGo. MoeGo have this tool that they send this report. And when the groomers do the report, at the end of the report, the clients can give them a feedback with 1 to 5 stars. And every month I run my report and I see which groomers are getting 5 star, which ones are getting less than that. And I go to those appointments and figure out what happened that day. As an owner and as a groomer myself, I know sometimes a buy star is just an accident or it's just a mistake, and sometimes the client can be overreacting. But the majority of the time is also what the groomer is doing, and having a conversation with your groomer and telling them the right way to communicate. Or in my case, I have my secretary and manager that we have that rule. Our groomers don't have to fight or don't have to defend themselves through the client. In the in the heat of the moment, they can say the wrong thing. They can look the bad way. As I tell them, just give the doggy, say that the manager or secretary will call them back and let us handle that. And I think that's a way that you can really be able to keep things down, uh, making sure that the client is happy. Again, the client always writes, even if they're not, and make sure that I stay there. Say, yeah, when you get to 11 bands, I definitely recommend you to have a manager, to have a secretary, and be able to manage it this way, and not let the groomers deal with all the problems that can happen in a day.
I was going to ask Zach, since we're right here, we haven't gone through the insurance checklist. So I'm adding a van. What do I need to do?
Well, first thing, you need to make sure you got insurance coverage on that van. A lot of times, if you're buying a new vehicle, before you can even pick up that vehicle, the financing company, or before the loan will be funded, financing companies looking for insurance coverage. So make sure you've got a commercial auto policy, number one, to cover your vehicles. Get that vehicle insured before it's on the road. Had some crazy things happen, brand new vehicles involved in accidents, that vehicles don't have the conversions covered, vans catching on fire that have been recently converted. And so you definitely want to make sure that that your vehicle is covered before hitting the road, and make sure that the equipment, that conversion that's done to that vehicle is properly insured and covered as well. So and then as you're scaling and growing, you want to make sure that you've got these your business owner's policy and your workers' compensation policy in place, and update your coverage limits as they go. A single person, one van or single salon operation has completely different risks than multiple vehicles, and is going to need higher insurance coverage if you've got multiple vehicles in multiple locations. Chances are you've got higher revenue, and higher bills. So that's why you want higher business income limits to cover you in the event something happens.
Yeah, I will say you need your business income insurance even if you are just starting your business. I have hearing of people, other groomers, they have buying their own brand new vehicle, and for whatever reason, this going to an accident, even the truck that is bringing the car to them, fall out the highway or something. And again, the bank and the loans, they're not going to give you a break. That's not their fault that the bank didn't got to you. You will have to continue doing those payments no matter what.
Yeah, you could argue as the business is less established, the business income protection is even more important than some of the larger established businesses because you've as you're growing or you've grown, you have more income coming in, so you should be able to take
To
more of
manage.
an impact from an income loss than you just starting out.
Yeah.
So good tip.
Yeah, start safe is one of the big tips. I know it's scary because you don't know your income yet. You are just starting, but again, it's better to start slow than just being killed on the beginning of the race.
Yep,
Amazing,
it's a
everyone. Oh, sorry. I didn't know who just spoke up.
it's okay. Go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
So I was just going to say, yeah, it's definitely a marathon. It's not a sprint in business. You want to make sure you're in it for the long run, and it's not something that you're just starting and then you got to close the doors after a few months.
Exactly. We're here to help pet care businesses build something that lasts. Let's move on to the next slide about territories and route design. So this is going to be a little bit more about like the route optimization tool that we have in our MoeGo software. Billy, if you want to go a little bit more about this product feature.
Yeah, I'll go incredibly quick. Route optimization can allow y'all to do one of two things with your territories. The first one, the easiest one, is you can just plan them out. Nelson had mentioned he's got his West LA territory. He's also got his Camarillo territory. For those of y'all who may not be familiar with Southern California, those are two very different areas. So he's able to assign vans to his different area and allow booking to be done just in those locales with those specific vans. The other option that you have is you can plan out your tickets for the day, and using our route optimization tool, you can actually set the order of those which you want to go in. There's a lot of benefit for you to kind of create the straightest line and the shortest driving point between them. And that's how it functions. What I'd love to hear from PBI, when you think about risk mitigation and being able to cover the cars on the road, what should people know? What should they be taking away from this and thinking about how they may want to set up their territories to make sure that they're as safe as they can be as a business?
You want the tightest route possible. And it's not just from a risk mitigation standpoint, but it's a bottom line standpoint as well. You want your appointments as close as possible. You want travel time to be minimized as much as possible. Not only does it reduce your risk from an insurance standpoint, i.e., you'll have less accidents, but there's less wear and tear on the vehicles. There's less wasted time. And I call wasted time traveling from appointment A to appointment B. That interim, the business isn't generating any revenue. You're spending money on gas. There's wear and tear on the vehicle. So a feature like the route optimization that MoeGo offers, it really allows you to strategically route your appointments and save you the most amount of money. And then from an insurance standpoint as well, you're less likely to have an accident on the road, less wear and tear on the vehicles. So that's I really think that the route design is something that should be a very methodical process that's thought out by every business owner. And that's what it really sounds like Nelson's doing right now with having his different territories, appointments being less than 1 mile apart.
1 mile.
It's a lot easier, I know, in LA than it is in other parts of the country for sure. Right. So LA, we're all on top of each other and whatnot. So a little bit easier to keep the routes tighter. But yeah, Nelson, if you want to speak to how you set up appointment 1, 2, 3, 4, please do.
Well, I mean, MoeGo has this smart scheduling, and that's a really powerful tool because every single online booking has to follow all those specifications. And it helps a lot when a client just go online, and when you have that limitation of 1 mile or 5 miles, that client is just searching to see where to book. MoeGo is gonna only show them those that are literally that close to the other client. So yeah, MoeGo really did an amazing job with this route optimization, because even that you don't want to reschedule everything in one day, the people that are booking online are already organized the way that you want it. And yeah, spending time on the freeway or in traffic is definitely a waste of money, but also your miles. You want to keep your miles as low as possible. When you call a commercial insurance, they ask you how many miles are you driving a day. And if you tell them you're driving 50, 100 miles, well, I'm pretty sure your bill is going to be higher than in my case. In my case, I tell them we only drive 5 miles radio. And I think that's one of the reasons my insurance on commercial is a little bit cheaper than others.
Yeah, you being in LA, you pay a higher, a pretty penny for the auto insurance. So keep growing in Camarillo. It might save you some money.
Hopefully, hopefully.
But yeah, this tool really allows you to be proactive instead of reactive with the scheduling. I can't tell you how many conversations I'll see in the various different Facebook groups about people needing to change their whole schedule, their routing, and being reactive to the way that their business is operating when it comes to scheduling and routing. The feature like this just allows you to be proactive from the beginning instead of then needing to contact all your clients and reschedule appointments and move people around different days of the week.
Correct.
Okay, role design and screening. I believe PBI, you guys can kick it off for this one.
Yeah, this kind of we went through in other slides, but talked about, and Nelson kind of filled us in the way that he does it, which I think is great, right? He brings kind of fills up the schedule in the van, brings in a groomer, and so he's teaching that groomer the skills and almost shadowing the groomer through the whole process, which is a good best practice, right? So Nelson's able to identify, is this person fit for the job, and teaching them and them learning from Nelson himself. Um, Zach talked about it a little bit earlier, pre-screening drivers. You don't want somebody that has DUIs and a couple speeding tickets and 4 accidents driving your Lamborghini down the road. So making sure that when you're hiring somebody, you take that into consideration. Like, this is a vehicle that I just invested a lot of money into. Am I okay with, I got high schoolers. Am I okay with my high school 16-year-old driving around my, $150,000 car? I probably wouldn't let them do it. Same thing. You're putting them on your business, and even more, it's your reputation, your name on the side of the van. So, and then kind of to protect you in the future, there's been a lot of claims that we've seen around hiring practices. So I always recommend when you're hiring, right, and you're interviewing that candidate, you're asking, hey, how's your driving record? Oh, I've got a great driving record, right? Then you go to hire them, you pull the MVR, and you're like, oh man, you've got like 2 accidents and a bunch of speeding tickets. Now I can go to that person and say, hey, you know what? I'm terminating you because you falsified your application. You said that your driving record was clean and you have multiple accidents. So now if I do have to let that person go, at least I have some documentation of why I had to do it. You lied on your application. So that kind of helps HR and some of the legal hiring standpoint. So that's what we recommend. Zach, you have anything to add?
Yeah, I definitely recommend before hiring somebody that's going to be driving the vehicle, get consent to run their MVR, and MVR stands for motor vehicle report. So this gives you an insight as to what their driving history is like. Typically, it's a 5-year history, whether they have speeding tickets, car accidents, etc. And I like to recommend before you offer the person the job, call your insurance agent, let them know, hey, I'm thinking about hiring this person. What's it going to cost me to add them on my insurance policy? So you get an insight. The agent in most cases gets some insight into that motor vehicle report. Depends, it's a case by case, state by state situation. We may or may not be able to see what's on there, but we will be able to tell you whether it's going to affect your pricing or not. So always a good best practice to get consent to take a look at their motor vehicle report, Number two, talk to your insurance agent before hiring them. And if all things work out, hopefully it's a future star employee.
Cool. I'll take this one. So, training SOPs that help reduce claims. So, you always want to have safety practices in place whenever you're hiring somebody. So, we've seen some pretty bad accidents, which we'll probably get into a little bit later. But how do you take a dog in when you're going to a customer's door? Do you leave them on the leash or do you just let them maybe slip out? Um, what happens when you're inside the van's getting too hot? Like if you have an AC that's not working, you need to bring that up to the owner of the vehicle right away. Also just maintaining and monitoring your equipment. A lot of vans now are all on these power inverters, which is great. But if you're still on a generator, we've seen generators catch on fire. You have to do regular maintenance and that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you are monitoring all your tools and equipment, that you have best practices in place. And if you do have an incident, we always recommend, document that incident. So we do have a form that we recommend to give to our insureds. But the idea is, if an accident happens, sometimes you don't think about it, and 2 or 3 years down the road, you might be getting hit with a letter from an attorney about something that happened, And so if you have documentation about something that happened that you just filed away, you can pull up that documentation, said, hey, this was the incident. I have documentation. I have pictures showing it wasn't that serious. And now your attorney can defend yourself in court rather than you got nothing. We see that a lot in California.
Yeah, and this is an incident documentation. It doesn't matter what the incident is, actually. It's something that happens in your business. So whether a pet's injured, whether an employee gets injured, et cetera, it's always best to document that situation right when it happens, take down all the information, photos if there needs to be photos, and then file that away just in case something comes out in the future. And that's something that we will share with you guys. Yeah.
The other thing we recommend too, if you're going to make a claim, call your agent first. Understand the implications that it could have. We've seen people file claims that are like $200 or $300, and then they're ended up paying a couple thousand more next year on their insurance premium. So you want to make sure you have a slush fund, and you want to make sure that you understand, hey, not every incident that happens requires you to file a claim. Be smart and strategic about how you do it.
For time purposes on this one, although I'm really excited about this, we may need to just pick our one favorite horror story just because we do want to leave time for QA at the end.
Zach, you go for the most expensive one, I guess.
I'll touch on just two quick ones. The importance of ongoing maintenance and making sure the maintenance schedule is followed on all of your equipment. Generators catch on fire. We had one recently. It was a brand new business, actually. Generator caught on fire, which then caught the vehicle completely on fire. And this was a truck and trailer setup. Caught the vehicle on fire and then caught the trailer on fire as well. And that was a generator fire that then took out the whole business, all the equipment, tools. Luckily, no one was injured. No pets were injured. No employees were injured, etc. But vehicle torched by the generator catching on fire, torched the trailer as well. They were luckily, because they had the proper insurance, they were back on the road again within 30 days with a new vehicle, new trailer, etc. And then probably one of the most expensive ones we've had to date involves an injury. There was one of our clients was doing a meet and greet. It's a salon owner doing a meet and greet with a pup. She got a little too close to the pup with her face, and the pup, I say pup, like
it was a golden retriever.
Golden retriever bit her ear off, and it ended up being a $300,000 reconstructive surgery. So those of you that are working with the pets, anything can happen. I've seen some crazy stuff with a cat scratch that then led to weeks in the hospital and some crazy infections, workers' compensation coverage can take care of all the medical bills and assist with your loss of pay to yourself in the event you're injured on the job. So those are a couple of stories. We've got plenty more, unfortunately, that we are not going to share right now because we're short on time. But stuff does happen, and you never know when something might happen.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
a big
got
deal. Yeah,
goosebumps.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that one. I'm glad. No way.
You seemed surprised by the ear.
Yeah. I can see it happen. I can literally see it, but wow. Okay. The number is crazy too. 300. Wow.
Yeah. Health insurance denied it because she's working on the job. So
She was an owner and she excluded herself, so she didn't have workers' compensation coverage either.
yeah. And the health insurance, the first question that they ask as soon as you get to the hospital is, who is the dog owner? Before, of course, that's before they found out that she's a groomer and she owns the business. But yeah, that was a tough conversation, and $300,000.
Okay.
God.
Uh-huh. Well, let's do the questions. Oh no.
We could skip
Oh,
this one. We
Yeah.
kind of went through
Yeah,
this.
we
for
touched on
us.
okay,
Yeah, why
sounds
don't we
good.
go to if we could we talk about the scaling up of vans real quick?
This one?
Yeah, because I would really love to, right, for everybody here, right, that's still on, right before this, when we were in our preparation, we had prepared our order. Nelson amended our order, but if you are considering expanding your fleet, Nelson put together a really great plan. I'd love, Nelson, for you to speak to it for everybody.
Well, I mean, like the picture show, and like Zach and Chuck mentioned, you probably have to get your insurance before even pick up the vehicle. You are the fee higher, but after you have enough appointments and enough clients, you definitely want to do your next hiring, your next groomer. Territory split definitely is the next step, because when you have your second groomer, you want to start dividing who is gonna go to which area. You're going to pick one, your new hire is gonna pick the second one. That way, when you start growing in those two areas, the groomer doesn't have to travel too much. He's gonna be covering the west, you're going to be covering the east. That's definitely right at the second you hire, you want to do your territory split. And I think by band number 2 or 3, it's already time to get a backup. I understand that at the beginning it's hard. Band number 1 and 2, you probably are not creating enough cash flow and profit to be able to just have a backup band. But by band number 3, you should plan your schedule in a way that is a backup band available. So every single day of the week should have at least one band that is not working. That way, it doesn't have to be a backup band that's just sitting the whole time. It's just between the 3 bands, you have to manage a way there is always one band available in case there's something happen. And renewal, your cash flow renewal calendar. I don't get that one too much. Sorry, I don't understand
I
that.
think that's kind of like on the insurance side, right?
Oh,
The
okay.
renewal
I
of the
laid that to
policies
you.
and then the cash flow, just, you're adding more and more. How do you, continue? You've already kind of like explained, you just fill up that calendar and then it gets a little bit light and then you kind of work to build it up. So the whole idea is it's a gradual kind of cash flow increase. And then on the insurance side, we always talk about, we always go through, annually when the policy is up for renewal, we always go to market and make sure that you're with the best carrier with the right coverage. And so we do that annually. So
Amazing, amazing.
Okay, I think that can take us to our Q&A portion. So let's I'll stop screen sharing and then we can take a look in the chat of like what everyone has maybe some questions on that they thought of throughout our presentation slide.
So
We can
MoeGo asked, used vans or brand new ones?
Yes, I like to buy brand new vans. And even when I start my own, my first van was a brand new one. Again, I think when you are a business owner or when you are starting your career, I don't see it as a short run. I see it as a marathon. And having a brand new van, in my particular opinion, is a peace of mind. It's something that you know that if you're doing your maintenance on time, your oil changes, your tire, you're going to be able to drive this van for at least 10 years. When you're buying something used, you always have that question if the previous owner actually did their job in keeping the van in good shape.
How about it, Chaz and Zach? Do you have an opinion on the matter?
I think it depends on location and what your resources are. If you could start extremely lean, buy a used vehicle or use one of your existing vehicles and get a trailer to get the business started. But then as things grow, invest in the newer vehicles for sure. They're going to last longer. It's also part of the reputation as well. If you're driving a newer vehicle, well, it might be a little bit easier to pick up new clients because you've got that image.
Correct. Yes. And that's something that I got from the beginning. Back in my time, I went to dog parks and park outside and opened the van, the big door, and people were like, wow, this looks like a clinic. And that was is instantly a client.
And Antonio asked, what is your preferred conversion company?
Wagon tails.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to
Shout
say
out to the team at Wagon Tails.
Wagon tails is my favorite. All my vans are wagon tails.
Have you had any other conversion companies or Wagon Tails since day one?
Wagon tails since day one. And
Great.
I have seen all the other ones, and I still choosing wagon tails. What about you guys? I mean, the majority of the groomers are getting all kind of vans, DIY, DIY.
We have a mix of everything.
Okay.
People who've built their own vehicles to trailer conversion companies, Hanvies, Van Speeds, Mobile Grooming World,
Wagon
Tails.
obviously. Yeah.
It seems that a lot of people might make their decision. Well, Wagon Tail's been around the longest, so they seem to be top of list. But also where people are located and back order, how long it takes to get a vehicle may lead to somebody's decision on what vehicle to have.
Okay. Cool.
We have a couple more questions. Someone in the Q&A asked insurance question, thoughts on owners being in van?
Owner of the pets? I'm assuming that's the question, not the owner of the business.
Big no-no, huh?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I see
maybe
Nelson waving his head. No, no, no. And that's actually absolutely correct. You don't want anybody outside of yourself as the business owner or an employee inside that vehicle. Maybe Nelson could give a little bit more context because he was very passionate about that. No.
Well, I mean, again, you never know what's gonna happen, and in 20 years, people outside your employees being in the van is no more than a problem waiting to happen. The example, a client can walk in and fall out of the van on the way out. And it can be their fault. It can be their own doggy that pulled that client out of the van with a leash, but it was in your van, and that's on you. Is one of your groomers is bringing their family, their wife, their kid in that vehicle, and something happened to that person, that's on you. That's in your vehicle. So definitely, no one is allowed to be in that van unless it's the dog or the groomer.
Yeah, not only from an insurance standpoint, it's a terrible idea, but it's just going to create problems.
Yeah.
If the pet owner, and I've seen this a lot, if the pet owner's insisting on coming inside the vehicle, they might not be a client that you really want.
That's correct. You can always show them the van, you can try to be convenient. Sorry, we are already running in my time.
That's great.
Mateo.
Hi.
I think y'all wanted to talk about spooky season with some of those nightmare
Yeah,
stories from
you can be
insurance.
always flexible, you can show the van right before you start your job because the chances that something happen is practically none. But at the second you are actually working, you need to step aside and create your boundaries. Again, MoeGo have an excellent agreement link that you can send to their clients that they need to sign before you go to their houses, and you can put it right in the agreement. We don't allow any clients inside our vans for policy, for business policy, and that's it. And they will respect that.
Yep.
Awesome. And then Marco asked, what percentage do you work with groomers to make sure the business is profitable, taking into account monthly payment, insurance, van maintenance? How about gas?
Well, California has the most expensive gas in all United States. And I think all those bills are really not that big. I think grooming is a really profitable business. We make really good money. What you need to be is organized. You need to make sure that from those $100 that you're making per dog, or 200 or 300, not all that money is yours, and that you need to start putting on the side what's gonna be to cover your workers' comp, what's gonna be for your accidents, what's gonna be to payroll. And at the end of the day, you will know exactly how much money really is for you as a owner of the business.
Okay, and I think this is the last question before I show the slides of how people can reach out to both the MoeGo and PBI team. But thoughts on having workers' comp insurance and you're the only groomer slash owner?
I think if you're working in the business, whether you're a groomer or an owner, you're working with the pets, you should have work comp coverage.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Golden Retriever.
Golden Retriever ear. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, typically if I'm talking to somebody that's an owner operator and they're asking whether they should have the coverage, I recommend it 100% of the time if they're working with the pets. The only situation where, as an owner, that I might say, hey, you should exclude yourself from the policy is if you're not working with the pets and you're not driving the vehicle every single day. Yeah, like, if you're doing a lot of admin work and you're managing the business and you're not grooming anymore, exclude yourself from the work comp policy as the owner. But all your employees should be covered. Anybody that's working with the pets all day long and driving from appointment to appointment should have protection for themselves.
Awesome. I think that's the last of our questions. But if I miss anything, don't worry. We have these QR codes up here so that you can reach out to the PBI and the MoeGo team. But overall, that wraps up our Q&A portion and our webinar. So thank you again, Chaz and Zach from Pet Business Insurance, as well as Nelson from Pampered Tails for sharing your insights today. And then also thank you to all the attendees for joining us. We also have another webinar coming up November 19th at same time, 5 p.m. This time with MoeGo and IBPSA, Dog Handler Academy, and Possum Pets. But thanks again, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
MoeGo.